we're going to use the graph to the right to answer the questions. And if you look, here's the graph. I'm going to trace it in purple, up and down and back up again. And these numbers down here tell you the dimensions of the window. So the leftmost point is -6, the rightmost point is +6, and each hash mark is 1. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's correct. And then the other numbers tell us how high and low the graph window is. So the lowest point is -10 down here, -10. The highest point is 40, and each hash mark here is 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40. Okay. Now, first question. List the zeros with even multiplicity and list the zeros with odd multiplicity. So I'm going to put all of the zeros, I'm going to show all the zeros in purple. Okay, the zeros is where the graph touches the x-axis, also known as x-intercepts. And you could see the graph touches the x-axis there and there. So we have two zeros. The first zero here is -1, and the next zero here is 1, 2, 3, 4, is at 4. Now, the multiplicity of -1 is going to be what? See, it crosses through. So crossing through means that it's odd. So the multiplicity at -1 is odd. And then the multiplicity over here at 4, if you look at the graph, boom, it bounces off. Okay, they say that this touches and turns around at 4. It's going to come down, it's going to touch 0 at 4, and then bounce right back up. So that is even multiplicity, 4. It doesn't matter where it happens, it matters whether it crosses or bounces off. So this one, I'll put it in red, this one crosses, and this one, I'll put it in blue, bounces. Now, given our zeros, okay, our roots or our x-intercepts, it says to write an equation for the graph using the smallest exponents possible. So we're going to write it as a function, the f of x, and if our 0 is 4, our factor must be x minus 4, right? To get 0, it would have to be 4 minus 4. All right, so our first factor is x minus 4. And if your 0 is -1, your factor is going to be x plus 1, because it would be -1 plus 1 is 0. So our other factor that we know is x plus 1. Since the 4 is even, the lowest even number that I can use as an exponent would be 2. Okay, so the exponent on this x minus 4 is going to be 2. I could have also used 4 or 6 or 8, but the smallest possible exponent to use would be 2. And then for this odd exponent, for this odd root of -1, the exponent is going to be odd, and the smallest odd number to use is 1. Okay, and I don't need to put this 1 here because it's always understood to have an exponent of 1. So there's one more thing I need to know, and that is the end behavior. I need to know whether this is positive or whether this is negative. So I look at the graph and I want to find the end behavior. All right, I brought up my 4 basic examples of end behavior. I can tell that the graph that they give us falls to the left and rises to the right. So which one of these 4 falls to the left and rises to the right? That's this one right here. And that is going to be positive. Okay, positive and odd. So it's not this one. This one's negative. It's not this one. And it's not this one. So positive and odd. So this is going to be a +1 in front. And I don't need to write the +1. It's understood. 1 times anything is just itself. So my equation is going to be the f of x is x minus 4 squared times x plus 1. All right, the last question, what is the y-intercept? And hey, class, how do you find a y-intercept? To find a y-intercept, you set x equal to 0. So I'm going to take this function, the f of x equals x minus 4 squared times x plus 1. And instead of x, I'm going to plug in a 0 everywhere where I see an x. All right, so there was a 0 here, and here, and here. And let's see what we get. 0 minus 4 squared, that is the same thing as negative 4 squared, times 0 plus 1 is 1. Negative 4 squared is a positive 16, times 1 is 16. That's the y-intercept. Let's go up to the graph, make sure that that looks right. And let's see, this was 10, 20, 30, 40. So between 10 and 20, sure, it crosses right here. And it's closer to the 20, just by a little bit. I would assume that this is 16.